And with this hot weather, getting ready for this game.
It's difficult out there. Just have to be mindful about trying to have good intensity in training, but obviously you don't want to wear the players out at the same time. So finding that balance is something we've done a very good job of so far. But yeah, the conditions are tough. But the players are, they know they've got to get through this for the next 3 months. So they've took it with good spirits, and we're just trying to train as well as we can.
Does it affect your game planning at all?
It can help us choose moments more to be aggressive with or without the ball. Obviously, I know we want to be aggressive. It's what we've spoke about as a club for several years now. But in these conditions, you do have to choose. You have to pick moments to press well. You have to pick moments to attack the goal quickly. And you have to pick moments to control the game. One of my constant messages with the team is you have to try to control the game for larger portions of time so that you can identify those moments versus being reactive to the opponent that might control their moments. So it can make it challenging, but we're definitely in a position where we still want to be aggressive when we can. It's just picking those moments well.
How have you felt about the team defensively? You've given up 6 goals in your 3 games. How have you felt about that group?
Yeah, we need a strong mentality. A lot of the goals as well have come after moments where we've identically scored a goal. So talking to the team about those moments has been important for us. For us, it's finding that balance. We've improved a lot with the ball in a lot of categories, but you can then leave yourself maybe vulnerable to defensive moments. So finding that balance is something we're working on constantly on the field, so that we can concede less goals.
Brendan?
Hi, Coach. You mentioned, conceding so quick after scoring, and that seems to be something that's been a problem for this team, obviously predating your arrival as a caretaker coach. Is there anything that is sort of in the DNA with that group which has made that problematic?
Not definitely not with me. I mean, for since the 3 games we've been here, when we score a goal, we're talking immediately about how we can get a second goal, how we can find a way to kill off a game. So we work on that in training as well. I would say right now, a lot of it's just helping these guys understand the ruthlessness that's needed in their moments. You score a goal and you always have the momentum then for at least 5 minutes of a game. It's the best way to go on and try and get a second goal or eliminate them at least attacking your goal. So I know against LA, we had a few individual mistakes. These players are learning from them moments. But for us, it's now about dealing with these moments of when we've scored. How do we keep control of the game? It's a word that I use a lot with the boys in the locker room. How do you keep control of the ball? How do you keep control of the tempo of the game? So you eliminate those moments of being scored on as well.
This obviously, you're coming off a bye week. That's not a normal bye week because the entire league was off. How do you make these last several days, how do you make that an advantage or a plus for you guys going into this match on Wednesday?
Yeah, the first half of the season for these guys was nothing that no one wanted. So a mental break, because once these guys start the season, it's a game recovery. You're just constant going through that flow and that state of mind. So we had a change three games before the break. There was a new relief of energy and optimism within the team, and they've done very well in the performances. Like I've always told you guys, with the 3 performances, I was very happy, even though we picked up, just a total of 4 points. But the break was good for them because they could fully disconnect from the game and get away and enjoy time. So the break for us was at the right time. Now it's getting them back in, and they're back hungry, they're back willing. So it's finishing the second half of the season strong.
Tom? Go ahead, Tom. Go ahead.
Are the numbers still trending in the right way? Your PPDA and your field tilt, do you like how that's going?
Yeah, everything's going well. Obviously, we put us in a position where we scored 3 goals against LA. We created a lot of opportunities as well. The Portland game, I believe we had 17, 18 shots. That was our highest of this team's for the year. So the data's trending in the right direction for us. We have to still consistently look at moments where we're conceding goals as well. How are they happening? Where can we eliminate those moments? But from scoring goals, scoring 6 goals in 3 games, averaging 2 a game, has been good for us. And we're creating a lot of opportunities. So I'm liking where the data is trending to. Now it's just, like I said, eliminating some moments where we've conceded a little too easily.
With Giannis's situation, do you envision playing him in one of these 2 games that he has left before he goes?
I mean, he'll come back in and train with us. He's just got off a long flight. Most likely it will be no. Obviously, he's in a position now where his mindset's probably focused on his next career move as well. He's a great lad. He's coming in and he's helping us back with training. But I'm committed to the guys that will be here for the remainder of the year.
Well, then at left back, then you obviously that puts a lot on Jay. How is it? He's coming back from an injury. How has it gone so far with him on the back?
Yeah, Jay's been doing great. He's come into the team. He's clearly put himself in as a left back, but he also finds moments of being tucked in a little bit at times as well. But he's come in. He's took on the position well. He's defending really good. We know his capabilities on the physical side, and defending 1v1 moments is very, very good. He's improving on the ball always, consistently. So as a young pro, as a young player, I'm excited for his future and what that looks like for him. And yeah, he's doing a good job.
Did you have much contact with him last season when he was playing with City 2?
Yeah, a little bit, just more by showing my face. You know, with Bobby and the staff there last year, he, you know, I'd show up as the oldest academy team coach and just keep an eye on these guys and see how they were doing. And I was able to watch him train a lot, watch him play a lot, which you could see why he got the opportunity to step into the first team environment. So now he's making that jump, and now he's growing again, just like he did in the second team environment too. So yeah.
Conrad was back training today. Is he he'll be available tomorrow or Wednesday?
Wednesday, yeah. Yeah, he'll be available. We'll want to get him some minutes for sure. Quick turnaround time for the Houston game as well. So we'll want to talk about how we just manage the roster, how we balance the roster by playing in a Wednesday game and then going to Houston and playing on a Saturday game, which I think it's high 90s, mid 90s on Wednesday. I don't know, probably 130 degrees in Houston or whatever it's going to be there. So we just have to manage the roster we have and the depth that we have within the team right now for 2 tough games in extremely tough conditions.
You expect to see anybody else back from the injury core?
Chris is getting closer. We're going to monitor Chris very close over the next 72 hours. Hopefully he could get some time against Houston.
He could be available?
Potentially, yeah.
Potentially?
Yeah.
Okay.
Thanks, Tom. 1 second. Let's go to Matt Baker real quick, and then we go to Brendan Weezy.
Yeah, Coach. Hey, was wondering about the midfield. So kind of picking up off Tom's point, what kind of depth do you expect to have in the midfield? That's one of the positions you've been most ravaged with injuries. You know, looking at guys like Tomas Ostrak, Edu Leuven, you mentioned Chris Durkin. What do you expect to be able to deploy against Orlando? And how does that affect, like you said, the quick turnaround time against Houston?
Yeah, we've talked obviously about utilizing a couple of players inside the midfield now that might have been in different roles. So whether that's Cedric Toica, obviously played off the right flank last week, might come and play a little bit more central. Marcel Hartel, we know he's flexible in a number of those positions in the midfield, whether he's deeper or higher up the field as well. So using obviously Marcel Hartel as a player that can play in a number of those centre midfield positions. Cedric can come in and help get some minutes there now that he's kind of returning back from his injury. So there'll be 2 players that will help also. And then obviously we have Akil, we have Alfie in there as well that can play, and JGR. So we've got some depth in there, as in 5 players that could play in those 3 positions. And then we've also utilized systems where a withdrawn forward could come into that role or something. So just trying to be flexible in their moments as well.
And I know you had your time away during this break as well, but is there anything that you saw looking at tape or evaluating and just thinking about things that gives you a new perspective, or you saw something that you hadn't seen in your first 3 games with this break that you're looking to change or excited to implement in the next couple of games?
Yeah, it was nice to get away. It was nice to sit down and kind of reflect from an objective standpoint of where we're at and where we need to get to. One of the things that I'd brought up, which I'll mention again, is finding moments when we have momentum to be a little bit more ruthless in them moments. By, you know, we might score a goal. How do we go and score a second goal? So we looked at I was shown it was like a data graph of the LA Galaxy game, and the momentum was heavily in our favor and then we scored and we allowed the momentum then to get closer with LA and give them a lot of opportunities and a lot of chances. So that's one thing, just some conditions in training. You know, we have a 1-goal lead. We don't sit back on it. We try to go get a second goal. We try to extend the lead and we try to build on the momentum. So that's something that from that perspective, I've spent time focusing on. And then just getting to watch the guys, you know, on film from an individual standpoint as well. You know, where do the players need to develop individually in their positions too? So that was some time spent for the 5-day break for me.
Brennan.
Coach, I'd like to flash back. 2 weeks ago, we were out on the pitch before the Galaxy game with you, I think on a Wednesday, and you had mentioned that you were getting ready for an individual session with Klaus. I imagine there are a lot of star players in sports that might push back against something like that. Maybe they're not open to that kind of instruction. Can you explain how Klaus has embraced the instruction you've been able to provide him, some of that maybe on a one-on-one basis?
Yeah, he was extremely had a growth mindset about it. He was open-minded. You know, we basically just sat down in our film room and just showed some clips where he was in the previous games, putting himself into positions might have been for him where he can score more goals. So I went through a couple of clips against I believe it was the Portland game, and said, hey, look, this is where you are now arriving in these positions. You're creating chances for yourself. And then we just talked about what technique would you use differently, or maybe moments where he didn't get in the box. How can we get you in the box? So he accepted it with a growth mindset. We've done it with several players throughout the 3 weeks, 4 weeks. I also utilize my staff a lot. Assistant coaches in running individual meetings with players as well. So that's probably something that's been a little bit newer for this team is the amount of individual time and small group time we spend with players. But you get a lot of benefit out of it. You know, when we meet as a team, you try to address in a few clips 22, 23, 24 players. It's very difficult. So we utilize moments to get small groups together, to get then even individuals together and just give them some of the coaching that they need. Everyone needs coaching, always.
And you feel like the rest of the guys are embracing that as well?
Oh yeah. We've done this with a lot of the players on the team, and I'll have more meetings today and tomorrow as well. So they've embraced it, and it's going well, and they're benefiting from it. Most importantly.
Thanks. Got any more?
How'd you feel about the next cup with the academy team? Can you still pay attention to those?
Yeah, I was able to keep attention. Obviously, the U15s went on a very good run. Semi-finals, lost on penalties. That's a young, talented group that we've got in the club that we're very, very excited for. So, a great run by Coach Ant and his team. Got them into the semi-finals. Yes, very excited for them. Excited to see what that will look like in the next couple of years for these guys.
And then we wrap things up with Matt Rocchio on Zoom.
Hey, Coach, I know you're just talking about Klaus. Just going forward, I know you talked about him being a goal scorer because he is the number 9, but you just mentioned having a forward drop in the midfield, and also Klaus, you know, he's so useful winning the ball on the flanks. I guess, how do you balance everything else Klaus does with him being more of a traditional 9? How do you find that perfect balance so that the midfield's getting support, you're winning those balls on the flanks, but he's also in the position once you win those balls that he's the guy who can actually be there to finish the shot?
Yeah, one of the things I talk about is relationism, relationships with the players all the time. If Klaus is going to come and help support the build up to perhaps break lines, that'll give freedom to another player. Maybe it's even a right back that can make a run in behind and stretch the team and maybe create an opportunity to score himself. And that would be a fullback. For Klaus, it's about finding positions. One of the conversations I had with him last week was finding positions to help the team build up and arrive in the box, but you're still the number 9 that wants to score the goals. So just don't drift too far away from the goal, but yet come and feel like you can support the ball to help us get there as well. So it looks different in any moment and every moment. If I could freeze a picture with you guys when we have the ball in a build-up, I'd probably put them in a different space almost every time, just because it might look different. But I think the key word is balance and relationships. So for Klaus individually, making sure he has a good balance of his positions to support the ball and help build up, but also score goals. And then the relationships, if he comes maybe too deep, someone can go higher. If he stays too high, someone else might be able to then come into that space. So I hope I answered it there. Did I answer it okay for you?
Yeah, that was fantastic. Thank you, Coach.
Okay.
We'll end it on that note. Chris, thank you.
Thanks, guys.
What's up, guys?
Tom, go ahead.
So a lot of guys did a lot of life-changing things over the break. What did you do?
Well, I went to go see my family. Haven't seen them all year since I got injured. So, that's kind of what I do. I'm a big family guy. So I just went back for the last 5 days and, chilled with my mom, my brother's father. Have a dog back there as well. So I was just gonna recharge.
Are they in New York?
They're in New York, yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
And how do you like this weather?
Not ideal, but it's all right. It could be worse, I prefer the heat rather than the cold. So that's okay.
How do you look at how the defense is doing right now? And obviously it's not just the back line, it's the whole team, but how do you see it going?
I feel like, we have bits and moments, including myself, where we switch off, and I think right now it's about building resiliency throughout the group. Because you see, there's many times where we would dominate the match, but then, and there's the slightest instance or like a stupid mistake, we'll give away a goal. So it's about limiting those mistakes. And after we score a goal, just have the resiliency to just keep going to put a second one or a third one back there, just to alleviate the pressure from us.
How did that feel for you on what happened there with the Galaxy game?
It's not tough, but it's definitely a moment where I can learn from. I like to take moments like that and like to grow from them. So it wasn't the best thing, it was a terrible feeling, but I'll be more equipped next game.
Did you slip? I mean,
Yeah, I slipped.
just flat out slipped.
Right, I was slipped. It's no other way to put it. But now looking back at it, I would have just hoofed that ball into the stands. It's just.
Were you looking to play it back to?
Yeah, I always want to retain possession. The way how we play now, we always want to dominate on the ball. So I was looking to just let the ball roll, as I do many times. But unfortunately, the slip got me, and he got through. So.
That just had to be a terrible feeling as he's taken off down the field. That has to be
The best
awful.
feeling at all.
Brendan.
Yeah.
Hi, Jay. Can you speak to what Coach mentioned a few moments ago about maybe some of the individual sessions with players and how maybe that impacts you guys and what you're able to take from that onto the training pitch and then ultimately into the games?
Yeah, it's great. It's always good to have a coaching staff who, one, invests in you, who, two, believes in you, and is, three, willing to work with you. It's not every staff that you come across that's willing to take the time to actually dedicate to their players. So it's good having those individual sessions with the coaches, in film and after training, where they're actually, pulling up clips and showing you what you could have done better. I think that's the fastest way for a player to improve, and also shows a bit of belief at the trust that the coach has in you. So I think, those two things go hand in hand, and it just helps a player to just, to just get to their best. Like you can look at Klaus. We all knew what Klaus was capable of, and just that little bit of confidence that he had allowed him to score a hat trick against LA Galaxy. So that goes a long way.
So do you get a sense then, can you explain how it's different from how even it's just been for you on the first team in the last year and a half to what Coach Critchley's been able to do just in the last 3 weeks, how it's different than it was before?
So I can't say too much about the reign of Olaf Melberg because I was injured for majority of his time. But what I do notice is that the vibes are definitely much higher, like we started we before trainings now we have a bit of fun before we actually get into the drills. And I noticed like just higher energy, more laughs, just more smiles. And I think, I'm not a big guy on that, but I do think that plays a role into our success. And I feel like we have been playing a bit better. There obviously are things that we need to work on. This is new into the reign of Coach Critch. Players are still getting accustomed to a style of play, but I do feel like we're moving in the right direction. And I think the boys are feeling good again. So it's just now time for us to translate that feeling into games, and start getting results.
spoke with you when you were on City 2 last year, probably a little more than a year ago, and I think we were talking about your growth on the team then. Just how much have you improved personally in the last year to put yourself where you're at right now?
I feel like I've improved a lot, you know, and I think that's credited to the good coaching staff. You know, it starts from Coach Bobby Murphy from last year, who actually took a chance on me and brought me in. Coach Hack, who gave me my first couple starts, and even Coach Bradley Carnell, who wasn't here, and Coach Critch. You know, it's a big thanks to the staff for actually believing in me, and it's an even bigger, you know, credit to my teammates who are so talented and who actually are patient with me when I'm on the field. You know, then they understand that I'm a young player, I'm going to make mistakes, but you know they kind of give me that wiggle room to just be a better person every day. And honestly, I think it's just competition every single day, day in and day out. You know, just grinding for your place on the team. And I think also even Giannis Horn being here, like I've learned so much from Giannis and how he plays, and I feel like I can add some of the things from his game to my game. So you know, it's everything as a collective. You know, it's an amazing environment to be in, to actually grow as a player and a person.
We'll go on the line to Matt Baker.
Hey, Jay, wanted to pick up on the Giannis Horn comment. So Coach Critchley earlier talked about, you know, the depth basically at left back. So I'm wondering, since Giannis Horn was announced that he was going back to Europe, have you had any conversations with either Coach Critchley or with the front office about what your expectations are, or what opportunities await you as essentially one of the only, if not the only, left back on the roster right now?
So I haven't had any talks, but I'm definitely aware of the situation, and I feel like my mindset stays consistent no matter what happens around me. I'm always going out there to give my absolute all, regardless if Giannis is still here or if Giannis is gone or if there's a backup or not. I'm always giving 110% effort just to, you know, to give my absolute best so that the coach can trust me, and just so my teammates can trust me as well. And I know myself what I'm capable of. And I just want to, you know, be at my absolute best every single time I step on the field. So, yeah,
Thanks.
no problem.
Tom?
You guys aren't the first team that's had a trouble with allowing goals after scoring a goal. It's kind of a rule of soccer thumbs. But what do you think happens after you guys score that leads to that happening?
So I believe that, you know, we always talk about it in film and things like that. I believe that there's a bit of a mindset drop. And that's what I was talking about earlier, where we need to build a bit of resiliency, you know, where after we score one and we gain a lead, we need to be hungrier to get another one right away. That way we could put teams away, you know, because I think the game is all about momentum. And, you know, when you score a goal, obviously momentum is in your favor, but then the other team is coming harder at you. So, you know, it's all about after we score one, using that momentum on our side to get another one and another one and another one. And then that should, you know, that should get rid of our problems. But it's all about, you know, just maintaining that mindset, that strong mindset, and not letting it sag at all, and just being very resilient as a group.
Were you like the happiest guy in the stadium when Klaus got his third goal?
Ah, man, I can tell you what, I was definitely relieved a little bit. I wasn't happy with myself that much in that moment, but I was definitely relieved with that third goal.
When you do something like that, when you had a mistake like that or just a slip, I mean, within the team, I mean, what was the guys gather around you to, or, you know, to lift your spirits, or to, you know, how
Well,
did
yeah,
that go?
so we're on the same team, so you know the guys lifting me up for sure. You know, they're just telling me to keep my head up, you know, just focus on the next play, and that's what I did. And honestly, mistakes are always gonna happen in a professional game, so you know we all should know by now at this point that you gotta shake that off. You gotta shake it off and finish out the match. So
You guys are in a situation now where you got to win a lot of games. This team has only won 3 so far, and you got to win, you know, double that and more the rest of the way. How do you approach the rest of the season going forward?
it's a day by day thing. You know, you can't look too far into the future, but it's all about getting 1% better every single day. And I feel like with Coach Critchley, we are doing that. And you know, he's solidifying our way of playing. And I feel like we've made huge improvements throughout the last couple of matches. And now it's about, after each game, analyzing film and just minimizing our mistakes. So we are doing that. So, you know, things should pick up for
Thanks.
sure. But it's game by game.
Thanks, Tom. We'll go to Will, then finish things out with Brendan.
Hey Jay, Critch talked about Klaus a little bit and the balance when he drops in versus somebody having that relationship to get forward. For you as a fullback, being able to get up on the flanks and get involved in the attack, obviously your services are great from the left side. Can you talk kind of about any kind of triggers that you see from Klaus that give you that release to go ahead and get forward and get involved in the attack if he drops in or if he gets wide or something like that?
Well, as for me, it's a lot of things to consider for me to go forward. It's all about rest defense. It's all about I don't want to get too much into it, but my relation with Celio, how is Celio doing? Should I leave him for a 1v1? Is Klaus in the box? If Klaus is in the box, then maybe I can go forward and put in a cross back post, or maybe an early cross if there's one guy in the back post with Simon and Klaus. So it just depends on the game situation. And I'm sorry, I want to answer your question in depth, but I don't want to get too much into tactical details. Yeah. Thank you, though.
Go ahead, Brennan.
Jay, can you speak to what Orlando brings Wednesday night? Anything you've seen on them so far that stands out to you for this matchup?
Well, they're a very good team. You always got to go in with and give a team their respect before games start. I know they're very good in possession. They have tricky wingers. So I think, this is a game that requires us to be on our P's and Q's and just imply every single thing that the coach told us to do. This game, you have to work on scoring goals early, keeping that resilient mindset, staying strong defensively, limiting stupid mistakes. And after we score one, get a second. After we score a second, get a third. It's just about, constantly building on the things that we need to work on. But obviously, Orlando's a very good team. We're a very good team as well. And we'll be ready for the matchup.
Jay, thank you. We appreciate it.
Thank you, guys.